There are a variety of forms that you'll want to complete at the time that you come in. Some of the forms you can sign then, some you'll be able to print out and bring in. And I wanted to just kind of review some of these forms. In general, it's important just to fill all the forms out that you need in their entirety. Complete all aspects of it. If you have any questions, give us a call, let us know, bring it to our attention, but it's important to do that. So one of the forms that I wanted to share with you is our timesheet. And with some of the assignments, you'll have an electronic process for completing your time. Other times you might have a timesheet like this, and if you're doing private duty assignments, this is a form that you'll be using quite a bit. And it's important, if you're on one of those assignments, that you have a separate timesheet for each client. If you're working with the same client, you can just use one sheet for each of the days that you work with the information about your time and your hours, and it's obviously important that all that be accurately recorded. And you can drop this off at the office. You can fax it in, and when you fax it in, there's a fax number at the bottom of the form, so it's right there for you. So be sure to get clarity on the assignments on how you may need to track your time to make sure that you know what's expected, what you need to do. We operate on a work week that's Sunday through Saturday, and so your checks are direct deposited the following Wednesday evening after you submit your time. So just be sure to know exactly what you need to do in terms of your timesheets. If you're a CNA or an aide, there may be occasion that you're working with a client that requires some documentation, and if you can't see it from here, but this is a form, and if you're going to be on an assignment that requires that, the coordinator will let you know that. And normally there's a folder at the client's residence so that you'll be able to have all the paperwork that you need to fill that out. Most of the time you're not going to need to do that documentation, but it may be required, and if so, you want to make sure you understand how to do that. There's also a form if you're an LPN or RN where you're documenting clinical information. Again, that folder, that information will be with the patient, so you'll have that information, and if you need additional forms, let us know and we can get those to you. A really critical document is our new employee form that has all of the details and information about your name, your address, contact information. It's going to have pay rate information on here, and it's just really critical that if there's any change in your contact information, you let us know, because that can have an impact on the payroll situation and taxes and things of that nature. So be sure to let us know any changes that you may have. We also have a questionnaire that you'll fill out. It's called the Post-Hiring Medical Questionnaire, and there's a series of questions on here that are yes or no questions. And for any of the questions, when you answer yes, it's important to go to the comment section and add any appropriate detail about that, and talk to a member of the team to make sure that you've properly filled that out. There's another form, the 8850, which is a pre-screening notice form, and it looks like it's about a 4-page form, and there's 2 spots on here for you to sign. So this is a document, you just want to make sure you sign it in both places and get that filled out completely, and again, that's the 8850. On the I-9 form, which is for employment verification, you want to make sure that you fill out section 1, and you'll have to bring in some possible forms of identification for us to verify your eligibility to work in the U.S. So, for example, you can look them up online, but some types of documentation that you can bring in. This is just a partial list, but a U.S. passport, or a permanent resident card, or alien registration receipt card. You could also bring in a driver's license, and a social security card, or birth certificate, an ID card that's issued by a federal or state local government agency, school ID card with a photograph, voter's registration card, U.S. military card. There's various other documents that that you could also bring in. But if you have any question, contact us. And we can let you know what the types of documents that would be acceptable to bring in, and we can get that when you come in to complete your final paperwork. There's also a W-4 form for employee withholding allowance for taxes, and it has instructions on how to fill this out for dependents and any additional money that you'd like withheld from your check for taxes. So be sure to fill that out completely and sign and date that. And if you live in Kentucky or Indiana, there are specific tax forms for those states, so just be sure to complete the appropriate paperwork for taxation at the state level as well. There's a direct deposit form, and again, when you come in to complete your final paperwork, you can bring in a voided check. With our direct deposit, we're only able to utilize one account. So you'd want to bring in a voided check when you complete your paperwork, and then we can go ahead and get that in the system. You'll also have a job description, and you'll want to make sure that you understand all of the essential functions of the job and all of the expectations of that, and you should be able to access that online. And if you have any trouble, contact us and we'll get that to you. There's several forms. I was just going to list them briefly. That, again, it's just important that you just sign those. So you're going to have a hepatitis B vaccination form, so you want to fill that out. You're going to have a chickenpox history questionnaire, and you want to kind of check the appropriate boxes and complete that. There's a voluntary self-identification form. And this is not for hiring purposes, but it's a request by the federal government that we collect this information for people that are willing to complete and fill that out. There's also a health information privacy and consent confidentiality statement that we're required to have you print and sign your name on for HIPAA, so you want to complete that. And then there's also a confidentiality and proprietary information statement that again, we work in a very sensitive type of business, and it's just important that we keep all this proprietary information about clients and patients and the things that we do confidential and to ourselves. And then there's also a statement, the employment at will statement, and that we're an at-will state employer, and so we're able to terminate the employment relationship at any time, just as you're able to do as well. So those are several of the forms. There may be additional forms that a member of the team will give you when you come in to complete your final paperwork. And again, be sure to contact a member of the team if you have questions about how to complete any of these forms.